Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome founder and managing partner Embark, Jack Ezon, and chairman and CEO of Virtuoso, Matthew Upchurch, in discussion with Skift founder and CEO Rafat Ali.
Me again. Thank everyone for staying. I hope you guys are enjoying. So we're going to shift gears a tiny bit from a bunch of the conversations that we've had since the morning. We have two very distinguished guests that have been in the travel industry for between collectively, I don't know if you want to say that, but whatever.
35 years.
35 years. And come from a part of the industry that I will willingly admit we also wrote off when we started Skift. He's very happy with this part. He's been poking me on that for 4 years now. What used to be called travel agents, a business that we also early on, as we were learning about the industry when we started covering, didn't really cover. And I think because of Matthew's constant emails to me over the last 5 years, I think we're sort of at the other end of it. That's a joke. But the reality is that travel agents, now called travel advisors, have certainly come back in many ways, but in a very different way than people expected. I'll open with this big picture question. And you've been working on this. I'm sure you've been working on this as well. The rebranding of travel agent to travel advisors.
Right.
Is it done?
Well, I think, first of all, thank you for having me back, because 3 years ago we were talking about it. And I love representing the hottest new thing that never went away. So that's like...
You mean email?
Yeah, there you go. That too. And, you know, very quickly, the problem with the reason I say they never went away is because from 1977 to 1997, the airline GDSs created an artificial monopoly on the information inside a GDS. And so the number of quote-unquote travel agents went from 4,000 to 40,000 during that period of time because there was an artificial monopoly. Now, if you go back to the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the people who were always advisors, who always were not about just the booking, but about community knowledge, knowing the people in the destination, understanding the holistic value of before, during, and after the trip, have actually never gone away. The tools have changed, but the core of who they are. And so what happened is when the online revolution happened in the late 90s and that artificial monopoly went away, the people that were human vending machines, and I don't mean that in a cruel way, but frankly, were gone. And then the people that were truly advisors, truly in it from a consultative perspective, flourished. And I remember in 97, you know, Expedia, Travelocity, everybody had been born, everybody said that we were roadkill, forget about it, quit now. But I always thought it never made sense to me that the baby boomer generation at that time, who invented the personal chef, the personal trainer, the personal everything, was going to do everything DIY. It just never made sense to me. And so obviously we rebranded as Virtuoso in 2000 because the problem with the profession is that it was viewed by the lowest common denominator. And so we wanted to build a different brand that said, this is what we do, this is how we're different. And then right after 2000, the biggest problem we had is our best advisors after we rebranded, because the first baby boomer didn't turn 60 till 2006, and then there were 10,000 a day. We rebranded in order to create an attraction, and our best advisors are like, I don't have enough hours in a day to handle all the business. And then that's when we changed our mission in 2001 to say, we have to make this a financially and personally rewarding career to attract new talent. And that's probably where I'm the most excited and the most proud of what's happened is the amount of career switchers, young people that have become travel advisors. And I tell you this right now, I've never seen in my entire career people who have come into this profession and gone from zero book of business to multi-million-dollar producers in a shorter amount of time.
So, Jack, would it be fair to say that you are super agent, super advisor?
Love that. I'll take it.
I think Bloomberg said that, I think in one of the stories about you. And so would it be fair to say that the role of travel advisors, and this is what you do, is now in a certain subset, luxury, and that's it, and obviously in the cruises is sort of this other part of it, and that's it?
I don't think you can say that's it. I think it's still changing and finding its feet. It's definitely moving in a direction. The direction I see is the transactional humans are going to be phased out, I think, or they're not going to be as lucrative because, you know, we're all talking about great technologies today. They're going to be doing it a lot more efficiently and a lot better. Where humans need to find focus is where the value is and where people value that service. Not everybody values service. Some people, you know, there's a big difference. We were just talking before of price and value, right? Price is what you pay and value is what you get. What, Warren Buffett? So, you know, we need to focus on that market of people that value service and value things that can't be done in an automated fashion. And that's where I see humans, travel advisors, moving. And the reason why I believe Matthew changed the term from, or helped change the term from agent to consultant to advisor is really, it's indicative of what's happening in our marketplace. And yes, it's a very small niche. Most of you never even touched this niche. They're talking to us about their personal life, not just about their trip next week to the Bahamas. They're talking to us about their most precious time, their leisure time, how to enrich their lives, and how to take that to another level. So our conversations are about their lifestyle on a holistic level, and we're there to advise them on how to plan their life through travel as a lens of the things they want to experience and achieve in their life.
So,
And by the way, this is not, if you look at every single industry in the world, generally every industry in the world is bifurcating itself between optimize commodity and optimize experiential. So if you want to look at what's happened to travel advisors, it's the same thing that happened to stockbrokers. The problem that you have is you have a feeling that when you get these huge consumer brands who have billions of dollars of advertising, they look like they've taken over the whole thing. But if you look at the online revolution in financial services, during that same period of time, we've had the greatest growth in independent wealth management firms in the world.
right.
They just happen to be much more broken out, and they're not these huge consumer brands that look like they took over everything.
And I think a lot of that is because there's so much information that it becomes information overload. And we're going to financial consultants and real estate consultants, any kind of consultant, beauty consultants, life coaches, because there's so much out there. And it's like, it's brain freeze. And people come to us every day. If I can count, 5, 10 people calling us, new clients saying, help, I don't know what to do. What's good for me? And our job is to specialize in our clients and know the world, not to be a specialist in India or France or wherever it is, to understand that client, to understand them on an emotional level and a deep level about their whole life and not just what they want to do tomorrow.
So it looks like you're part of Ovation, the larger company. You're semi-breaking away to start your own company under Ovation, which is sort of on a different model. Explain what you're doing.
I think just to step back, most people here probably don't understand the luxury travel retail space, and it's mostly composed of independent contractors, almost like real estate brokers that work under larger house firms. And that's a great model, but we see with all of the new technologies coming out and things changing in the marketplace, that we have a feeling that we need to change the alignment of independent contractors with their global house. And our model is emulating a professional service firm because, again, we're likening ourselves to financial advisors or lawyers or accountants, and to make more of a partnership model so that not only do we align ourselves more closely with our advisors and our partners, but we create a platform in which to grow other partnerships, whether it's in the financial space, in the technology, in marketing, and in training. I mean, we just brought on one of our partners is Master Connections. It's the leading training company in the world. They've built Ritz-Carlton and Four Seasons training program. We brought them on as a partner because we believe that great service is going to be the cornerstone for our success. Because if we don't deliver amazing service, then you can go to a robot to do the rest.
So Matthew, you wrote this, we had this call for our talk here, and you talked about, and I think you wrote about it as well, travel agents, travel advisors now, historically always looked at as intermediaries.
Yeah.
And you're saying
hate
that's
that
a
word.
wrong construct to look at that world.
Yeah.
Tell me what you mean.
Well, you know, one of the hot topics this year was the term intermediaries. And what's very interesting is the reason I don't like that word is because, you know, I think it's slightly, if not totally, should be retired, because back in the day when there were technological and the logistical issues that kept the actual producer from being able to sell directly to the consumer, intermediaries were more of a real thing. Today, there hardly is anything you can't buy direct from the producer. So therefore, my position is that when a consumer makes a conscious choice to not book direct, they're doing it for reasons. So I'm not the intermediary, I'm the primary. They've hired me to be the person to deal with you. One of the more simple things is, you know, we only
Does that
have
mean the
so
brands
much-
don't have to pay you any money?
Huh? No. Well, by the way, we're here today. One of the things that's interesting, Rafat, is that in all the different conversations over the years, I've always been grateful of one thing. There's only one person that determines my future and the future of our members. It's the consumer, the client. They're going to determine whether I'm valuable or not. So I think what's interesting is, and then when you talk about intermediaries, I kind of had an epiphany this year, because if you think about it, if I went to the board of directors of any one of these big companies and said, if I could go out there and find a sales force of people who are as diverse as the clients you're trying to reach, who will speak their language, who will connect to them emotionally, who will get your product sold not based on just price, and by the way, I can build this huge sales force out there and you don't have to pay them until they produce. Would you like to have that sales force? And most people would say yes, right? They're called travel advisors. So I actually would profess that good travel advisors are actually more aligned with a brand's direct to consumer. When our advisors sell a product, all the data is there. We don't keep, you know, a lot of times an OTA or something, you're lucky you get the arrival date, the departure date, and you don't even know the form of payment. When we send somebody to one of our partners, not only do they have all the data, is it a complete, you know, collaboration, but then we literally call them in real time. Rafat and his family are coming. They're doing this, and we give them data that elevates the experience, because I know you in real time. Because we're able to collaborate with a partner, elevate the experience, you think it was a better experience, worth paying for, therefore higher repeat factors, greater satisfaction, and the desire to pay for more.
I think the word partner is really the key concept here. We don't need to work with people on a transactional basis. In fact, you know, something we say every day in our business is transcend the transaction. And there's so many better vehicles and channels that we've been talking about today for that. We work with people that want to work with us. And talking about brands, yes, branding is very important. Having great branding budgets and marketing budgets is very important. But when a client comes to us, they're coming to us to curate an experience that's right for them at the time they're going and who they're going with. And that the brand doesn't always translate into what they need. And big brands today are also facing a lot of challenges with our really top clients, especially our younger clients, because they don't want that predictable. Right. They don't want that predictability. They want the best, unique, most authentic place. And oftentimes they call up and they say, I don't want a brand. So what does that mean? Right. So sometimes it's my role to say, yes, you do want that brand here, or you don't want that here. And if we know that client and we know who our partners are and who's going to deliver an incredible experience for them and open doors that they can't do on their own, that's who we're going to work more closely with.
And I think the other thing that's really important, we had her as a keynote speaker, and some of them I'm sure you'll recognize, but we had Dr. Brene Brown as a speaker at our conference years ago, before she became as famous as she is today. And people are like, why are you bringing a PhD in social work research to talk to a bunch of travel people? And the reason is because there's also this whole thing about human connection. We really believe in it. It's the reason we spend so much of our time building relationships, because we believe the quality of our relationships and the quality of our connections with people all over the world actually truly make a difference in the way our clients experience their travel. And so I remember her saying very, very, very clearly, she said, the human species exists because we're social animals and we're collaborative. And I love what you said today when you talk about those premises about compassion, about collaboration. And I remember Brene saying, you know, that as technology becomes more ubiquitous, there will not only be a desire, there will be a craving for authentic human connection. And I think that's one of the things that happens. And one last thing about, we were talking about younger, I was told that, okay, you survived the baby boomers. Well, when the millennials come, you're really out of business, right? Because they're doing everything on their mobile phones and blah, 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 blah. It's been the exact opposite.
So let's build on that. I also forgot to say that we do have time for questions in about 5 minutes. If you want to go to the app or slider.com and put your questions, we should be able to put some questions. I was supposed to say that at the start. I forgot what my question was going to be.
You're talking about millennials.
No, instantaneous satisfaction of digital platform. I think we talked about that on the phone as well. If my Uber is a minute late, I'm antsy. So digital versus travel advisor, what are you building in to get over that instantaneous satisfaction?
Well, first of all, a couple of things. When I spoke here 3 years ago, one of the things is we get so enamored with the latest app, the latest whatever, that we actually forget that two technologies actually completely reinvented our profession: mobility and social media, and simple things like texting. Of course, today, it's still 70-some-odd% of all activity on the mobile phone is some form of messaging.
Do your clients text you a lot?
Yes. WhatsApp, text, Instagram message, email, it's any way that someone wants to communicate. But I see everything going towards a hybrid method.
Yeah.
We need to invest in technology. We need to embrace artificial intelligence. In fact, as a company, we've invested into a company called Skylark, which is a hybrid model. I mean, you can do it yourself, but text us, call us, instant message us. Where should I stay in London? Should it be at the Connaught or Claridge's? Help me figure this out. Or, stay at the Plaza Athénée in Paris and call us the next day and help us organize a scavenger hunt through the Louvre or something else that they couldn't do necessarily on their own.
And I'll give you another example of technology and human connection. So a really good advisor, first of all, you just can't BS. I mean, first of all, we serve the best educated, best traveled, most technologically savvy people in the world. So you can't BS these people. So you don't present yourself as, I'm the expert and know everything. I'm the expert, and as Jack said, my job is to know you. I get into a certain level of discussion. You know what a lot of our great advisors do? We have this global network. You start to talk about, Carolyn was talking about going to Bhutan, right? And you start to get to a level of of question, and you say, you know what? Let me get our partner in Bhutan. We'll do a 3-way Skype or a Zoom. Next thing you're doing, you're talking to the person in market that knows it. It's a collaboration. And it's real time. The beauty of that is it's not just, was I able to book something? I'm literally sending you to somebody that I know, that I trust. It's no longer about, can I find a guide? I want your guide. I want the person that you thought did an amazing. I want Fulvio in Rome.
So let me ask this. So I'm in the market, let's say, for a travel advisor. Is discovery easy today?
Discovery.
Of finding the right person. Well, it seems like I go on Condé Nast Traveler, and who gives a shit about that?
Well,
so
I'm not touching that one, but because we actually got that list going. But what's interesting is we
nobody cares.
We actually have an advisor catalog, and we had a relationship with Merrill Lynch, and we still do, and it was very interesting because the de facto kind of desire was you connect them. What we have found is if the customer doesn't spend a little bit of time and energy in deciding who they want to deal with, it's probably a customer we don't want because they're looking for a transaction. So forcing the customer to look at our advisor catalog, see where people have been, what kind of personalities, etc. That process, it's sort of like blind dates versus.
Well, but like if I don't know Virtuoso or I don't know Jack's company, how the hell am I going to find
the number one by far is referral. Like the vast majority of our business is referral. I was asked 7 years ago, how are you going to find the luxury traveler of the future? It's been by developing the luxury advisor of the future. So when I get a 35-year-old young woman in Atlanta who becomes an advisor and all the people around her go, you became a what? You bought a what? But once they try to find out what she does, it spreads like wildfire.
We talk about influencers. Our best influencers are our clients because they have the sphere of of friendship and relationships that are probably your customers, and it's less expensive to service that than to have a broad net of people that are not your customers, and to qualify that is expensive. It's not a pleasant experience.
We will go to...
Part of what we need to do as advisors is know who our customer is and who our customer is not. And that's part of the whole process.
I do have a quick question before we go to the questions. Press today, mainstream press, what are they getting right? What are they getting wrong?
I feel like mainstream press is imploding from within. I still see huge demand, especially from my clients. And my clients are mostly Gen X millennials, not baby boomers, responding to mainstream media, whether they're seeing it in print, whether they're seeing it digitally, but credible media outlets are still what I call, they're the pitchers and we're the catchers. So really important to us.
Okay. Let's go to questions.
Sure.
So the first question, what kind of demand are you seeing for travel advisors from younger generation? I guess you cover sort of part of it, but if you want to build.
Well, I love this. I mean, if you were to force me to say, there's only one thing you can pick that you are the most proud of what's happened, it's been the fact that we've brought young people into this, and they themselves are finding this as an amazing career. So the amount of new talent that we have added in our network in the last 7 years is incredible, and they're driving. And by the way, if you look at this career, and you talk, I went to Cornell and I showed a picture of a bunch of our advisors who were sitting on a pool in St. Bart's with their laptops, this group of agents, and I said, do you really want to work at a hotel, or do you want to be on the forefront of the digital nomad revolution, building a book of business with really interesting people, traveling all over the world, where your travel generates new business?
That sounds
And
like
the
an
average
influence.
age of our agent is 28, and they're doing between $3 and $5 million of business.
$3 to $5
million.
Okay. The top question now is, do you see Google and TripAdvisor's new planning functionalities based on machine learning and influencer content as big threats?
Okay.
Look, go ahead and I'll jump.
I've been talking about this for a long time, which is a lot why I'm changing the model in my industry, but I think artificial intelligence is going to change our future, and I think it's incredible. I think maybe 5 years away, it's going to really have a big impact. And what I say is we need to embrace that. We need to augment artificial intelligence with what I call intuitive intelligence. And that, again, is us being in touch with our customer and knowing them. Because yes, a computer can do a lot of things, but a computer can't do a lot of things, and that's emotional impact. We're in the emotional impact business when we send people away, and it can be something as silly as sending somebody earplugs because we heard on the phone that they were frightened to be with their grandchildren on a multi-generational trip in one villa, and they didn't know how they were going to sleep. That's it. And they'll remember that for life, and that means you heard me. And that those round we do that every day. In fact, with every trip we do, we have an EI factor, an emotional intelligence component of where we need to impact people on another level. Yeah. People are craving people, they're craving connection.
So two things, Rafat. Number one is I actually have become, particularly in this past year, I've actually become of the opinion that I think artificial intelligence is going to end up being one of the greatest things for our profession. My philosophy and our organization's philosophy on technology has been for over 20 years, automate the predictable so that you can humanize the exceptional.
Exactly.
So use technology to do that. And the other thing that's interesting is that I think it is exactly about that. I said to our membership a year ago, I see the future of our profession will be not in what you can see, but in what you can feel. And as there's this escalation of war of data and information and process, I can leverage those very same tools in the hands of an advisor, but it's that other piece of it about how I make me feel. And the last piece of it is the really good advisors today are never working on one trip at a time. So it's exactly what's happened with—
You said 5 to 10 year plan.
Right. So
for your clients.
Yeah.
So we've actually developed a platform that basically is like Pinterest meets Netflix, that is the gamification of organizing somebody's bucket list. And the youngest person to use our platform so far is 6 years old, and the oldest person is 86. And it's unbelievable.
6 years old just wants YouTube, but that's,
no,
that's another
they're-
I think it's really like we said
Super.
before. It's the hybrid of it all, and it's Nathan Lump from Travel and Leisure. He came up with this great phrase called non-algorithmic decision making, and it's really important because not everything's a Boolean equation, right? Our clients at our level, the level that we work, that people want to pay for us. They want things that aren't rules. They don't do rules. They do guidelines, but they want things that cannot be had. They want the room that's not there. They want to go to the Chanel Haute Couture fashion show and have dinner the night before with Karl Lagerfeld. That's where.
How much does that cost?
$40,000.
But you know what? One last thing. This is not,
It's the
the other
combination.
problem is, guys, this is not just a little niche. I think that's the other problem sometimes. Our network had almost 20% growth this year from 23.7 billion to 25.8 billion.
Don't let the secret out. Let them.
27 billion. So
the market.
this is not, this just applies to a few uber wealthy people. It's not about the value of the product, it's whether they value the advisor. So advisors don't just book, oh, you're not my client, because it's the entire servicing of the client and their life's energy.
All right, thank you. We could go on for hours, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.